Sucker Punch Studio launched its most successful game, Ghost of Tsushima, following several influential collections such as Sly Cooper and Infamous, according to many. A work in which gamers were able to experience an exciting samurai story in commendable detail. From the eye-catching island of Tsushima to the timing of the invasions, Ghost of Tsushima's game is very much in the discussion of historical events that have allowed fans to get impressions of the possible sequence of the title. The question has arisen for fans whether they are once again taking control of Jane Sakai's character to defend land and people against the second Mongol invasion, or the possibility of taking a different path in the game to expand the rich history of the creature and the narrative of the story that the first game founded. The second Mongol invasion is the most likely option, but it can also open the way for more entry into Japan and its traditional culture. The events of the first game require that Jin recompose his forces so as not to let Japanese soil fall into the hands of bloodthirsty Mongols, which may lead him to Japan and the Shogun. However, there are many ways to expand the story of the first version of the game in this sequel. From introducing an apprentice for Jane Sakai to the journey of Ghost of Tsushima to meeting the Shogun to discussing their strategy against the upcoming invasion. It is in history that the Mongol large-handed division launched two major attacks on Japan, the initial invasion occurring within a period of the first game, and in the space of a few years, the next attack takes place. The second invasion is much broader, in which more mass forces than ever before the Mongol, along with Chinese and Korean fighters, go to war with a united Japan. This is the path we will most likely see in the sequel to this title, and will involve more massive battles and much more enemies that Jane is about to face. Given that, according to the events of the first game, Jane was eventually dissolved by the exiled Shogun and the Sakais, the continuation of this fictional line means that Jane will once again step in to fight the new Mongol corps. In this way, we may see more cover-up campaigns and Jane's more efforts to satisfy certain characters in the game to gain the trust of the Shogun forces. According to historical evidence, in the second attack, samurai forces were also more numerous and massive than before, so it is likely that Jin will cooperate with other Japanese samurai. Two reasons can be why this sequence might go beyond Tsushima, and Japan will be one of the player's places in the game. The first reason is that Jin must, in an act, restore Shogun trust in order to effectively command Japanese forces against the invading Mongol army. In addition, in the second Mongol invasion, a group of them invaded and defeated Japan, so this battle could promise the presence of this land in the following sequence. The second reason for Japan's presence in the sequel is probably the Shogun's more effective role in it. In the first game, only references were made to the Shogun Corps, and from time to time his forces were observed in the game. If, with the heroic killing of the vast majority of the samurai of Tsushima, Jane may go on the adventure of finding new allies to accompany the invasion ahead. According to history, the islands of Ikea and Tsushima were influential in the Japanese's eventual victory, and in this way samurai all over Japan supported them, so it is possible that Jin will travel to Japan to ensure that the named islands receive the necessary protection. Given the small number of samurai forces in Tsushima and the fact that Jane is the last survivor of his family, we may see Jane's heir in the foregoing. Under his uncle's training, Jane learned the way and practice of samurai, and following the events of the first game, one of the modes was for Jane to honorably end his uncle's life at will. It is not far-fetched, then, that the last remand of the Sakai tribe finds a new disciple to convey his uncle's teachings and ensure the preservation of Tsushima's future. Meanwhile, the existence of an apprentice in this sequence can help in making future games and extension packages, advancing the story of the Sakai tribe, and getting to know Jane more. Observing Jane interacting with him pupil can be a great way to portray him human aspects and remind him of some of Lord Shimura's teachings as Jane's childhood. In addition, Jane's protege can be compared to him childhood, when he did not have the courage to save his father, to tell fans the lessons Jane regretted that he had learned in the past. Ghost of Tsushima is one of the most acclaimed recent exclusive PlayStation games and a tribute to the historical events of 13th century Japan. Because Jane is preparing for a mighty comeback in the footing of the first version, and his allies are preparing to counter the second major attack, Ghost of Tsushima the second may be built on a larger scale than before and will consider more traditional cultures to explore gamers. However, nothing has yet been confirmed from the events of the story. It is highly likely that the audience will face a second Mongol invasion and may also travel to the central regions of Japan. Ghost of Tsushima is now available for PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5.